This is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. At the first site, tdjacobs.com, are all of the tools and bells and whistles that I offer you to help you along your healing journey, whatever that it means, including learning astrology from me and with me. At healingsuicide.com is an explanation of soul and what happens at and after death and how death and suicide affect the soul so we can heal our understanding and our guilt and shame about being suicidal or wondering about what happens to people when we lose them to suicide, but also healing our own feelings that might push us toward feeling life as hopeless and meaningless. So that's at healingsuicide.com. On tdjacobs.com, you'll find the Soul's Journey Soundbite database, as well as Soul's Journey Soundbites, which are overview readings of your entire multi-life journey, which is about this life. This life is a chapter in a longer journey when these themes are coming up for you and these opportunities for growth are popping up. And in the overview readings that I do, and I encourage you, if you're interested in evolutionary astrology, to get your own Soul's Journey Soundbite. It's packed full of useful information for your whole, understanding your life as a journey, as a whole journey. What I've done with the Soul's Journey Soundbite database is I have taken maybe 488 of them that I've done so far, and I have another maybe 35. As of September 1st, it's 35, but it'll grow because people still order them every month, of course, that I'll add to the database by the end of 2018. And I've taken all those and I've entered all the data into a spreadsheet that can now be searchable online with a subscription through my site, tdjacobs.com. So this is the second in a series of videos to give you an idea of what can I do with the Soul's Journey Soundbite database. And the last one, I showed you Mars square Pluto. Natally Mars square Pluto. What does it mean? How to look it up in the database, how to understand how the database is set up, but how to understand what it means, and then giving you some stories and examples and possibilities, which when you hear Soul's Journey Soundbites, you hear me explain to the client how to deal with that energy, how to turn it around. That's a particularly potent aspect because Pluto is about a sense of feeling powerful. And when something is square it, we may have some power struggles with other people. And if Mars people square your Pluto, then that can lead to some power struggles and even violence and abuse sometimes. So it's a really important one to understand. They're all important, but that has an urgency because it's fire and it's difficult fire. So in this video, we're going to just do a couple of different things. And I think what we're going to do is a Saturn conjunct the South Node, and then maybe one other. And I'm just going to show you some examples and show you how to search in the database, and also explain to you what it means and how I might, little bits of how I might explain to people how to work with the energy in constructive ways. So since the last one had to do with Pluto, this video I will make it about the South Node. So I will share the screen here so you can see the Soul's Journey Soundbite database. And let me maximize that. So when you first sign into the database, this is what you see. This is my little site graphic, of course, and then that says the thing, and that says it too. This is a search window here where you can type in anything, and you can see I have some other searches in here from recently. And there are certain conventions that are spelled out in the instructions, a PDF that's linked from my Learn Astrology page. So you can even read that before you sign up to understand like how it's set up and what it is. But you can see here all these different columns. Inventory numbers organized by Pluto generation. So CN is Cancer. So you can see the CNs show up first because alphabetically from Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, whatever, all the way through to Capricorn, that's the first one alphabetically. And then if there's a chart or if there isn't a chart, and then the birth month, day, year, gender, then Pluto in the houses, right? 09, Pluto in 09 is a convention. If you look for Pluto in 9, you'll get nothing. Or Pluto in the 9th, you'll get nothing because it's a data sheet. You have to be specific. And what we're going to do, and then of course Pluto aspects, South Node house and sign, South Node aspects, and etc. And then these last two columns, chart link, you can click on a link, which we will do in a moment with the Saturn thing, and you can see the chart. And then also the soundbite link to that particular soundbite. You can hear the audio of my mini reading or my overview reading for that person. So and you can sort through here. I'll show you more about sorting once you get some results from a search. So let's say Saturn Oh no, that's right. I already forgot. So the convention would be South Node conjunct Saturn. And so I just did that because in my head I say, oh yeah, Saturn conjunct South Node. But the, okay, so let's do Saturn conjunct, sorry, SN, South Node conjunct Saturn. Man. Okay, so then we'll wait a second. You can play hold music in your head if you want. And then how they're returned to you, they're alphabetical by inventory number. So, you know, there aren't any Saturn conjunct South Node charts in the Cancer generation, for example, but there are in Capricorn, Leo, and then as we scroll down, you'll see other ones. Now, going down to the bottom of the page, up to 10 records per page, and so this has 4 pages, so that means it's at least 31, at most 40, and that's how many charts in the database at this point, as of September 1st, 2018, have Saturn conjunct the South Node. So from here, and you got to scroll up this inner window to get to these column headings, you can choose how to sort them. So let's say you are, let's say that you're born in 1973, and your South Node's in either Cancer or Gemini, and your Saturn in Cancer is on the South Node. And you're like, I want to understand more about how to deal with this. What does that mean? What does it look like? Well, what you can do then, you have this data set, you can search by birth year. So when you click it the first time, you'll get the earliest birth years. It'll sort from by ascending dates, right? You get the earliest ones first. And let's see, yeah, there we go. And actually, because we don't have charts for about 30 of these things, those ones will show up first because you're getting 0 as a year or a null value. So it's showing up first. But if you want to be able to see a chart, you can go here. The first one in the database chronologically is 1950. So we're going to scroll down. You can see there's several of them in here. 1951. Let's go to the next page. We're looking for 1973. Just waiting a second. Okay, so then we have some 1962s. Okay, and then we have the 73s. So these are obviously Pluto and Libras, Libra over here. So let's say, this one, we have Pluto, and actually these two both have Pluto in the 10th actually. South Node in the 6th and 7th, right, in the conjunct. So let's look at this chart, which is a female born July 20th, 1973. Let's look at her chart. When you click on this link, 2 things happen. Immediately you'll see the chart in a new tab, but then also this page that you're looking at, which you won't see right away, you know, the chart will pop up, but on this page it will open that record alone. So you won't see this datasheet view, you'll see that record. So I'll show you that here. So obviously this new tab opens, but when I go back to the other tab, there, it's this record, it's just the data displayed, the individual record displayed. So let's go to the chart and click on it to make it bigger. So, okay, yeah, so Saturn over here in late Gemini, conjunct that Cancer South Node. Now, in your chart, like I said, if you want to know about how to understand this, in your chart, it may be different. You know, this South Node is in the 6th, conjunct the descendant, Saturn's in the 6th. There are certain things in common, no matter where in the chart it is, if Saturn is conjunct the South Node, especially if Saturn's in Gemini and the South Node's in Cancer. There's certain baseline things in common. And that's one of the ways that this database can be used to really learn about what that means. Because any house and sign, any year that you choose, there's going to be certain things in common with Saturn conjunct the South Node. And I'll give you an example right now of what that broad theme is. The South Node represents the kinds of conditioning environments your soul has you born into in many lifetimes. So it does represent something about your family system that dovetails with your multi-life karmic soul's journey. So Saturn, any planet conjunct the South Node, that energy, good and bad, happy and unhappy, productive and unproductive, saturates your many lifetimes. So with someone with Saturn conjunct the South Node, you're born into a Saturnian environment, or an environment that's colored by Saturn. In this case, Cancer in the 6th house. 6th house, you know, kind of groove or vibe. is about being of service or having a to-do list or being picky, right? The service-oriented fixer, right, of that Virgo archetype related to the 6th house. Somebody who's good at teamwork, maybe has a really strong work ethic, that kind of thing. And Saturn conjunct, it says necessity or hard work or authority, discipline is a huge part of this multi-life journey. That it's in Gemini could mean that there's a lot of kinds of discipline. It could be that these authority figures who are so strong and central to the family's journey together, like one or both of the parents or ancestors, could be communicators in some way, right? It could be always teaching and writing and studying. Perpetual students who also teach, like that kind of energy, but that what all Saturn conjunct South Node have placements have in common is that saturation of the Saturnian archetype with the multi-life journey. So that's kind of how this plays out. Maybe in this case, the family is very oriented toward helping and healing professions, Cancer in the 6th. Cancer is about nurturing, helping, healing, cohering people together, right? Holding people together, whether it's family or community. And then Saturn conjunct it, maybe there's a strong emphasis on teaching people how to improve things, teaching people how to coalesce community together, but there's a strong Saturn thing there. Now I want to show you another example of the same generation. So like I said, this record comes up by itself, so then you can hit the back arrow on your browser or this little arrow down here, which I'm going to do. And it takes a couple seconds. And we'll go right back to that list, that data set based on that search. If at this point you just wanted to go back to the database as a whole in general, why am I blanking on that? I think if you just hit the refresh, let's just do this. You hit the refresh button, it'll just come back to the database as a whole. So there we have CN001 and 02 showing up. So anyway, that's how you do that. But let me, South Node conjunct Saturn. Whoops, that's not right. There's a C in there. South Node conjunct Saturn, and then we'll scroll through again to find out, to sort by year. Okay, so here's the year. Okay, so yeah, those 2 node charts show up in the beginning. Let's do one more example of born around that time. So we'll go to page 2 again. Looking for the Libras. Why didn't I do that? What happened? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a, wait, what happened? Here are the 73s. Yeah, okay. Here are those 373s. And what we looked at was this one, Libra 114. That's what we just looked at. Let's look at Libra. Let's change it up a little bit with South Node in a different house and 9 in Cancer. So Libra 57. I'm going to click on this. Again, the chart will open in a new window. And then we're going to make it bigger. So yeah, in this chart, the South Node doesn't show up. It's just as a, this chart I made in 2013, and at that time, a setting I had in the software was a little different. So anyway, it's good to get used to. Say it this way. Wherever the North Node is, the South Node is always exactly opposite. So this North Node is at 706 Capricorn at the end of the 3rd house. So that South Node is at 706 at the end in Cancer at the end of the 9th house, so close to the midheaven. So this one, again, there's an emphasis in the family system on Cancerian behaviors, coalescing people together, holding family together, seeing the world through the lens of emotion and need and healing, something like this. But this time it's in the 9th house, so this is about belief and worldview and having philosophy and religion and ideals. And it's conjunct the midheaven, so that says that those ideals come out in the world in a public way. It's not just we have our beliefs in our family, somehow they're obvious. That's how you get like a 9th house South Node conjunct the midheaven. But then also Saturn is conjunct it by under 7 degrees. And again, there's that saturation of Saturn. So instead of in the sixth house of work ethic and responsibility and duty, here we have Saturn, the planet of realism and discipline and structure, in the house of belief system. So there is a strong tradition in this particular family system, and they are known in their community for what they believe and how they operate. Now this Saturn is different than the other one. The other one was in Gemini. This one's in Cancer. So that Saturnian thing operates within that family system. It's not that people are, teachers and writers perhaps. They could be because it's in the ninth house. But it's really strongly that there's a need to cohere, or I keep using that word, to keep the family together in some way. And it's around beliefs and a tradition. So that tradition might feel really heavy to people in this family. Some of them may love that sense of, something coming down through generations, like a mantle to take up, a level of identity, right, based on those beliefs, those religious beliefs or traditions. But some people might not like it. But the reality is Saturn in Cancer on the Cancer ninth house south node there's a real emphasis there for, for what is believed. And the importance in the family system of, being dutiful and responsible about maintaining a tradition regarding these beliefs. Now in the sixth house, maybe it was about, that emphasis was on teaching people to improve things. Saturn and Gemini in the sixth, on that sixth house south and in Cancer. In this case, it's more about feelings and togetherness as opposed to teaching. Okay, so those are a couple of examples. Let's go back. I'm going to close this chart, and then I'm going to hit this little go back to the data set button. And let's look at one more in Libra. Let me go to page 3. I think there have to be more in here of this particular subset. Just waiting a second. Okay. Yeah, so here we have more. So Pluto in house 3, Pluto in house 4. No, we just did, yeah, hold on, wait a minute. Saturn, where's the south node in the 12th? Yeah, let's look at this one. Libra 37, and the chart opens up. So here we have, now this is a little different, and it is, the south node is not in Cancer, but the south node's in Gemini, and then Saturn's in Gemini. So let me just give you a rundown of what this is like. Saturn, south node in the 12th house says, I'm born to family systems in which we need to learn to surrender and go with the flow. This could be about mysticism and seeking God or seeking truth, high level truth, capital T truth. It could be trying to be of service in a compassionate way because we're connected to the whole of humanity, right, the collective. But it can also be a bunch of people who are super sensitive to energy and don't want to have to deal with being affected by what's going on in the collective. But somebody with the south node in the 12th born into a family system in many lifetimes in which the person has to go with the flow. In Gemini, maybe there's a lot of stimulation. There's a lot of things going on. And the Gemini is changeability and flexibility and new information. It could be this person feels like, let's look and see who this is, a woman, that maybe she felt as a young child she couldn't ever relax or sit still because there's just everything is stimulating and affecting her, and maybe even people in her family. So then we have Saturn conjuncted, again, a saturation of Saturn energy, happy and unhappy, useful and not useful, rigidity or structure and discipline, either way, but there can also be this heaviness with Saturn. So this person will be aware of the heavy things in society and in the collective, in the world. Person's going to be attuned to stories about leadership when it goes wrong, or when it goes well, but probably more to when leadership goes wrong. This person is going to be attuned to what's wrong in the world because he or she will have an assumption that she maybe should be an authority figure or take something on her shoulders to improve something, to be of this idea, compassionate service is a 12th house goal. But this person could also be overwhelmed, or someone in the family, people in the family, could also feel overwhelmed by hardship and see that saturating the world. Think about Saturn energy. Sometimes it's very difficult, and the work never stops, and you're pushing that boulder up the hill and it never stops and rolls back down, you know, the whole Sisyphus story. So this story also have to do with that. And what she needs to do is to learn some boundaries and learn to really discern the reality of what she's responsible for and what she isn't responsible for. And, you know, feeling, this person could feel the weight on her, the weight of the world is the phrase, on her shoulders, that so many people are suffering or sick. And if she doesn't do something about it, who, you know, who is she? What kind of a jerk doesn't help people who need it? So that's just another illustration of this particular south node. So let's change gears. I'm going to close this chart. And we're going to go back to that data set. We're going to go back to the database and choose a different search topic. I want to stick with the nodes. So let's talk about Saturn square the nodes this time. So I am going to, so south node, remember again, south node, square Saturn. I've already done that one recently in the last few months. So we'll hit search. Okay, Saturn. And so you can see when South Node aspects, in here, buried in here is South Node square Saturn. Same down here, South Node square Saturn. So where it's anywhere in the field, it'll show up in these search results. So let's think about, I want to understand more about what it means when Saturn is in the 11th house square the nodes. So let me look at nodes. Let me just think about this for a second. Let me sort by south node house, and let me pick like south node in the 8th house. Let's try that one and look for Saturn in the 11th. We're gonna have to look at a couple charts this way once we get these results sorted. Okay, now I'm gonna do south node house again, because when I clicked it once, it sorted with the first house first, so ascending. We want it descending, so we don't have to sort through all the pages. And we should see south node in the 12th. Once this sorts. Yeah, south node in the 12th there. And we want south node in the 8th house, so we're going to go to page 2. Okay, south node in the 10th still. We're going to scroll down. There's south node in the 8th. Let's just pick the first one. Virgo 26, south node in the 8th. Let's see if that Saturn's in the 11th. It's actually in the 12th. So I'm actually going to go back and choose another one, because I want to do that Saturn in the 11th. Oop, I didn't hit it right. Now it's doing it. Hold on. Okay. So south node in the 8th. Let's try this next one, Virgo 27. Nope, Saturn's on the other side of the chart. Anyway, sometimes you have to do this a little bit if you have that kind of specific thing you're looking for. Because it'll say Saturn square the nodes in the data sheet, but it doesn't specify which house that Saturn's in. So this is a level of detail that is not, you can't search for, but we can do it this way and look for it. Okay, south node in the 8th, let's try this one. And if this one doesn't have it, we'll do something else. Yeah, this doesn't have it, but oh man, sorry. I really want that. I really want to see that. So let's try Saturn in the 7th. Maybe this is a, or south node in the 7th, sorry. No. Okay. Well, anyway, let's talk about Saturn square the nodes. And here it is, south, here's a north node, right? Shows up in Capricorn in the 1st. And the south node is always opposite it, right? So it's Capricorn, 22 Capricorn in the 7th. And so again, the south node represents what kinds of family environments and how you're trained to see the world that you're born into in many lifetimes. And it's a comfortable place that you want to retreat to when you're stressed because it's familiar. So there's something about your family system that suits or fleshes out your south node symbolism. So in this case, it's in Capricorn in the 7th. So 7th house south node says, I'm oriented toward other people. I'm trained to see the world as about give and take or fairness or selling things or being there for others or the importance of relationship and marriage or the importance of doing what others tell me deferring to others is one possibility that happens quite a lot with South Node in the 7th. In Capricorn, there's a structure, there's a, somebody's in charge, there's an authority, and there may be tradition. There may be rules. Okay. Now, squares to the nodes say there's an unresolved issue in what I am taught, and therefore what I know about how to live this energy. So I'm told the world is about, with the South Node, deferring to other people and being there for others in a responsible way with Capricorn, in a mature way. Saturn square the node says there's an unresolved issue about work, duty, responsibility, and who's in charge. So Saturn square the nodes always says, like I gave you that thread of Saturn conjunct the South Node, there's always this thread of the family systems are saturated by positive and negative Saturn. So one has to sort through what's healthy and what isn't. In this case, this person knows 4 or 5 out of the 8 or 10 things that are healthy to know about Saturn energy. So overwork, underwork, pursuing extremes about being in charge or being rigid or being controlling. Saturn in the 4th house says this is about responsibility at home, who's in charge of the family, who's responsible for meeting other people's needs and my needs. So this chart holder's needs is what I mean. So this unresolved issue about Saturn has to do with emotions and family and home. So in the family system, there are going to be distorted or not complete picture or not healthy models of what responsibility toward family means. In Libra, trying to be fair, maybe not being fair, maybe exploring extremes of Libra, again, controlling or manipulating others, or letting others do whatever they want and not us being strong and assertive. These kinds of extremes fit with things that are square the nodes. Again, we know 4 or 5 out of the 8 or 10 things. Not that there is a specific list of 10 things, but if I could name 10 things, you're probably really good at half of them regarding that planet if you have that planet square the nodes. So in this case, this person's told that life's about responsibility toward others and being there for others, South Node and Capricorn in the 7th. But Saturn, this unresolved issue about what responsibility toward loved ones really means. So in this case, maybe the person is taught to defer to the demands of others. And that can mean some parents, parents might be controlling or demanding or rigid and not warm. But then this person has this unresolved issue. What's the right way to be there for people who are too controlling, who might make me feel trapped in my relationships? How can I really make a long-term commitment and feel good about it if I feel controlled or used by those people and their demands? So how can I open my heart, 4th house? How can I own my commitments to these people? So this is how these stories develop in the Soul's Journey Soundbites. Oh, I didn't make this big for you, sorry. There, you can see that South Node's over here, you can't see it, but then the Pluto, the Saturn is at 21 square the 22-degree South Node. And it is conjunct some things, so the story gets richer. And in this soundbite, I tell the entire story in about 20 minutes. But that is the idea with Saturn conjunct square the nodes. Let's do one more of just Saturn conjunct the North Node. I'll give you an idea of that and look up something here in the database. Okay, so we'll go up here to the search box again, and we'll say South Node opposite Saturn. So remember, Saturn's conjunct the North Node, but in the database, that is listed as opposite the South Node. So South Node opposite Saturn. This is spelled out in that PDF available on the Learn Astrology page, that if you become a member of the database, I highly encourage you to keep that on your desktop or bookmark so you can refer to it till you memorize these naming conventions, these terminologies. Okay, so here we have South Node in the 12th, South Node in the 11th, South Node 10th. Let's just scroll down to see how many records there are. So there are 3 pages. So anywhere from 21 to 30 records have Saturn conjunct the North Node. So let's let's look at South Node in the 6th. Virgo 51. Okay, so I'll make it big again for you. Again, this is one of those charts that doesn't show the South Node, but the North Node here at 18 Aries, South Node is at 18 Libra over here. So this person is shown in many lifetimes how important it is Libra, to defer to others and be useful. 6th house, to keep the peace, to create fairness and harmony and balance in order to remain available to help others. It's a really strong signature of being told that you're supposed to be useful, so is everybody else. Now, Saturn conjunct the North Node says, in the family system are not modeled healthy versions of Saturn. So who's, this idea of the unresolved issue with the square to the South Node with Saturn in the last one. The other one, Saturn conjunct the South Node, overdoing Saturn in healthy or unhealthy ways. In this case, Saturn's missing in a certain way. So people in the family system will have ideas about how to do Saturn, but it won't be the full picture. They may have prejudices, like, well, I think it looks like that, so I'm going to do that. But throughout generations, people aren't being taught how to do healthy Saturn energy. So this chart holder will have an idea of Saturn and may run with it, but it may not be the full story. So this is a person, I actually remember who this is just from seeing this chart. This is a client of mine. This person may have started life with this idea of what it means to be in charge, what it looks like, what it should look like, and then have to learn over time, well, Saturn actually, it's not just being in charge of something, but it's sacrificing something in order to be of service in a certain way. How does one develop maturity? This person has to learn it essentially on her own, because we can see from this chart, people in her family system can't teach her because Saturn is opposite the South Node. So anyway, that is just a little sampling of, again, what can I do with the Soul's Journey Soundbite database? Yeah, thanks for your time and energy with this. You can subscribe for become a member for a 5-day trial membership. You can do monthly, and you can also do a yearly subscription to the database. And you can be in touch with questions as a subscriber there. But I'm encouraging you, if you want to learn this unique, very empowering style of evolutionary astrology, that the Soul's Journey Soundbite database is a primary way to learn from me, even if I'm not teaching classes right at that moment, or your schedule doesn't work with the classes I'm teaching. So anyway, you can check all of that out and get your own Soul's Journey Soundbite at tdjacobs.com. Thanks for your time and energy, and take care of yourself.